What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we are at the midpoint in the season for the Jets, or halfway through their year. How have they done so far, and what are we looking at going into the future with this team? We're going to be answering a few of those questions, be asking a few more questions, I'm sure, in this video, but yeah, let's get on into it. The Jets started really hot, 15-1-0, currently have a record of 27-12-2 at the time of making this video, third in the NHL. They've been very good this season. The top line for Winnipeg, everyone really on pace to have a career year. Gabe Vilardi looks fantastic. Mark Scheifele's having a resurgence. Looks like prime Mark Scheifele again. And Kyle Connor easily having the best season of his career. He's so engaged. Scoring goals, but also playing some defense here and there as well. Just looks way more locked in. He's found another gear this year. Kyle Connor's been a difference maker for sure. Lots of guys up and down the lineup have been contributing, but the biggest reason they are where they are is Connor Hellebuyck. Surprise, surprise, last 5 or 6 seasons, the guy has been the best player on this Winnipeg Jets team, and it's no different this season. He's more than likely going to win another Vezina trophy. That'd be number 3 on the year in his career. What a season Connor Hellebuyck is having. Lock for the Hall of Fame in my opinion, and he's leading this Jets team currently. The biggest improvement in this Jets team from a season ago has been the power play, and it's just been running so smoothly, especially early on in the year. It has, of course, cooled off like we all expected, but it's still a very good unit. Just a fast-paced, moving unit, unpredictable, and a lot of the times it's been what's keeping the Jets in the game, as 5-on-5 play this year hasn't always been the strongest, and that's something I'll talk about later on. But the power play has been great this year, one of the league's best. On the flip side, the penalty kill hasn't been absolutely incredible, hasn't been awful, but it is something that I would like to see improve. I don't really think it's a player problem. I think it's more of a system problem, but it is definitely better than a season ago. If we go back to the forward core, the second line of Ehlers, Nemesnikov, and Perfetti has done well this year. You'd like to see maybe a tad more production, but I don't think it's been, bad. I just don't think that, Vlad Nemesnikov is the long-term answer at the second line center position. I think they will need to make a move there come the trade deadline. We'll talk about that later on a little bit more in detail. But Ehlers and Perfetti have looked really good this season. Ehlers has been awesome, contributing on the power play. Hey, can you believe that? Nick Ehlers on power play 1 has actually done fantastic for them. We'll talk about the special teams in just a second as well. But, their top 6 has done relatively good. If we look at the bottom 6, this is where, there are some things that, maybe you could improve on. Lowry, Niederreiter, they've been solid this season. Appleton, of course, is out currently, so he's not showing up here. But, Alex Iafallo has done an admirable job filling in for him, and he's looked really good this season. I've been impressed by him, much more impressed than a season ago. And the fourth line, some nights they come out firing, some nights they're pushing pace, and then sometimes you really just don't notice them. And I know that's typical. Obviously, the fourth line isn't going to be a point per game, line or anything like that. I just think that there are more impactful players in the organization that could be getting a shot, like Nikita Chibrikov, over maybe a guy like Morgan Barron, Rasmus Kupari, David Gustafsson. I get they're role players, but I think we've got some better role players even in the system, and those kind of players, they're a dime a dozen. I think the Jets can improve there. Now, if we go take a look at the defense core, this is where it's been really interesting this year, and for the last few years, I guess. But Morrissey, DeMello, they've been pretty damn good. DeMello had a rough start to the year with Morrissey, but they have really bounced back. They've looked great as of the last month or two. Josh Morrissey back to being Josh Morrissey as we know him. The second pairing is without Dylan Samberg for the current moment. He's been out for a while, with a broken foot. And that's really hurt this Jets team, more than I think anybody could have really thought. He had such an incredible start to the year. He was arguably their best defenseman for the first 20 games. And, without him, it has been a rotating door of guys coming in and out of the lineup to play with, Neil Pionk. Hayden Fleury came in, looked really good actually until he got hurt. And, as of late, they've been trying Logan Stanley there. Newsflash, really hasn't been working, especially on the defensive side. Stanley's had some moments where he's shined in the offensive zone, but he's just getting caved in defensively. Neil Pionk this year, great offensive season. He's been great on the power play. Is just kind of not the greatest defenseman in the world. If we could put Pionk on that bottom pair, that would be awesome, but it's clear that this org views him as a top 4 defenseman, which is okay if he's playing with a babysitter like Dylan Sandberg. I've talked about that in videos past before. The bottom pair defenseman is like really whoever the hell you want. I don't know. Villy's been getting in there with Miller. Miller's been scratched, and then it's been like Hanel and Stanley. It's just been a revolving door. Dylan Coughlin's even gotten a few games. Take your pick of what that's going to look like in a month or two, but it's very clear to me that the Jets need to add a defenseman. Again, I'll talk about that later on in this video, but it's very clear to me that they need an upgrade, and a big one, in the defensive end of this team. Now, if we're looking at what the Jets can add, they desperately need a 5-on-5 contributing centerman. And it sounds kind of janky when I say it, but they need a guy that's going to step into that second line center role and just be able to produce 5-on-5. I think of guys like Brock Nelson being an awesome candidate, but if they're not looking to spend big on center, if they're looking to spend their money elsewhere, on defense, maybe a guy like Barrett Hayton. Younger center, probably a little bit cheaper. I don't know, just the name that I saw thrown out there kind of intrigued me a little bit. But they need a guy that's going to be able to step in and contribute 5-on-5. I love Vlad Namestnikov, but at this point in his career, he is more of a bottom sixer. If he moves down, if the Jets acquire a 2C and he moves down to the 4th line, I think a 4th line of having, Namestnikov, Iafallo, and, whoever you want, Barron, Chibrikov, really whoever, I think that's a really strong 4th line. And then, we're really talking about, okay, what do we got to do here? But if the Jets really, really want to go make that crazy deal, if Elias Pettersson is out there and available, I made a video on it, I think they have to go make that deal. Like, you gotta try at least, maybe they've called, I'm not sure. But, Elias Pettersson, Mark Scheifele being your 1 and 2C, that would be pretty insane. Would definitely put Winnipeg in a conversation anyway. But we'll see what happens. I very much doubt it. On defense, I'm really not sure what to expect from the Jets. I think they're going to try to add a veteran defenseman that's established, top 4 guy. But I do wonder if they look for, a guy that could maybe help Josh Morrissey. DeMello and Morrissey have been a great pair, but wouldn't you love to find Josh a guy that, is really a star in the league, or at least just a really solid, top 4D. I think of Rasmus Anderson from the Flames, but the Flames are doing somewhat well right now. They're not out of the race or anything. It's really too hard at the moment to try to think of who's really going to be a seller outside of, 5 or 6 teams that are very clearly out of it, because there is quite the logjam right now for the wildcard spots. But going forward here, we'll kind of start to see who the sellers are, and if there is a defenseman that becomes available that could play top pairing minutes, I do think the Jets will be taking a look at them, but I do expect them to add at least 1 defenseman come the trade deadline. And now I asked on Twitter if anybody had anything they wanted to say before I made this video, and there was a lot of people that, expressed their opinion on how the season has gone so far and how they feel about the year as a whole. Sam here says, to be honest, at this point, I don't really care about the regular season and where we end up. Just learn from the mistakes, get in the playoffs, and show up in the playoffs. And, absolutely right. The regular season is important. I would love to win the Central, but essentially at this point, the most important thing Winnipeg can do is learn from the mistakes that they've made this season and correct them. And that takes me into the next one here from Cody. Coaching not using the huge standings lead to explore new line combos is indefinitely stupid, and even if they have done excellent work on the special teams. So, Cody going ahead there saying that the Jets should be, definitely messing with the lines a little bit more. I agree. We have seen some, different lines. We've seen Lowry with Perfetti and Ehlers, different stuff like that. Of course, that's only been happening mid-game when the Jets are losing. I would love to see, a stretch of different lines and stuff like that, but we will see what happens come the future. Now, there are some comments here saying that the Jets need Jonathan Toews, and I don't understand why so many of you want Jonathan Toews on this team. Not what the Jets need. They have, 13, 14 better forwards on roster currently than Jonathan Toews. Not a guy that they need right now. But with that said, guys, I'm out of here. What did you guys think about this video? What did you guys think about the first half of the Jets season and where they are trending? I want to hear from you guys. Let me know how you feel about the Winnipeg Jets. But that's really all I got. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.